Yo, what's up, chat? Today we are looking at this very beautiful PowerPoint presentation I made just like last time. So we've got this right here. It says optimal split. I did write it with a trackpad, so it's kind of cooked. But yeah, we're looking at the optimal split for the training frequency to get as jacked as possible. So we've got obligatory photo of David Lade in the corner, exact copy of Dorian Sarachi videos. Oh look, I added a picture of him in here. Yeah. Anyway, with the training split, you want to increase your frequency. That's why you got the up arrow there. Decrease the fatigue. So you want to balance them, because if you infinite frequency causes infinite fatigue. You know what I'm saying? So let's start off first. We got right over here. We got the bro split. So this is a graph right here at the top. So on the top of the graph over here, we have hypertrophy, and at the bottom is atrophy. And so this spans 7 days, so it's a week. So if this spike here is when you first train your muscles. So if it's a bro split, just say that's like chest on Monday, for example. So this is Monday. It takes 48 hours for the training stimulus to disappear. So that's Monday, that's Tuesday, and then all of this area, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, your muscles in the state of atrophy, because it can only be in one state or the other. So bro split, you're only growing for 2 out of the 5 days for each of your muscles, right? So probably not very optimal. Even though you won't get very fatigued from this, there's also way more potential to grow. So next up, I'll move to push-pull legs rest. Push-pull legs rest. So that's technically an 8-day split. So if we look at it here, you train on the first day. So let's say that's push. This day would be pull, and then this day would be legs. So 48 hours has passed, and now you're in atrophy phase. And then the rest day, you would also be in atrophy phase, and then you would train again. So if we look at this is across 7 days, another day before you train again. So across 2 weeks, you spike it 4 times, about 4 times. And so you have spend just over half the week with the stimulus. So you kept training, but you still spend 2 days or 3 days a week pretty much in the atrophy stage, and 4 days growing all the other way around. So then we go to upper lower rest. Now this is about 3. So bro splits once a week, PPLs twice a week. Upper lower rest, it's between 2 and 3 depending where it lines up. So you could be training upper. So this is your first upper day right here. You spike it. This is lower day, it's still there. You rest day, so it goes down, and then immediately after the rest day, it goes back up. So you're not, the atrophy stages in the week is only 1 day instead of 2 days or 5 days. So even though up here it spikes twice, and down here it spikes twice, over here the next day would also be in atrophy, whereas over here the next day of the next week, so this dotted line starts the next week, you would spike it again. So you do actually spike it 3 times in the week. See, 3 times a week frequency ish, but then the lower only gets hit twice, but then it's the next day. So technically in the span of 7 days, you train the muscle 3 times a span of 7 days. And you're minimizing the time spent shrinking. And then finally, probably the most frequent split you could use is full body every other day. So this is your full body day, your rest day, and now normally we go down after 48 hours because this is when it switches off and goes into atrophy. But because it's full body every other day, you train again, and so instead of going back down, it just stays flat for the whole week in hypertrophy. And you'd be thinking, wow, this is great, let's just do full body every other day. The problem is you are training your entire body. So number one, if your not workouts aren't going to take ages, you need to be doing a lot of compound lifts, which will accumulate more fatigue. And so I've actually drawn this beautiful graph over here about central nervous system fatigue. So if you're doing full body every other day, this black line here is like sort of what it would be like. You'd spike your fatigue from the first training session and go down a little bit during a rest day, but then you'd spike it again the next day and the next. And it's probably not as accentuated as I've drawn it here, but you get the idea. It's a lot easier to build up fatigue on full body every other day, unless they're small sessions and you've got to manage sets. It'll be like a 1 set per exercise basically. And next up over here, I've done push-pull legs or upper lower, something like that. Yet the same thing, but because of even though you only have 1 rest day between each thing, you are resting the muscle 2 days for upper lower and 3 days for push-pull legs. So it'll be more of a even thing of fatigue where it will go up and go down. The more rest days you have, the more your fatigue will go down. But obviously after a certain point, there's no reason to be resting. And usually you should not need a huge number of rest days to recover, because if your sleep and your diet's dialed, 1 rest day a week you could probably get away with, or 1 or 2, probably 3 is pushing it possibly, but I mean that's sort of what upper lower rest is right here. Upper lower rest got 2 rest days. And then obviously over here is the bro split. You'll get it probably wouldn't even be nearly as high because you're not training as many muscles. Bro split's 1 muscle per day, so it would literally be sort of like this, and it'll be way less frequent. You spend less time fatigued, but you also get way less stimulus. And here I've shown about increasing your fatigue limit, because obviously if you're a new trainer, new at training, your first session you'll probably accumulate fatigue close to your limit, right? If you try immediately jump in and just train as much as possible, it's gonna get very fatiguing. So what you do is you just train close to your limit, and then when you rest and you train again, it'll start pushing your limit higher until it's actually like the highest it can be. If your sleep and nutrition are dialed, it'll be much higher than if it wasn't and you didn't know what you were doing and you were training every single day. I mean, I train every single day. That's because it's fun. The key points to take from this video is high frequency for your muscle groups. Make sure you have 1 to 2 rest days. Manage your fatigue by going 5 or 6 days at the gym. Upper lower is probably good. If you're going less days, if you can only train 3 or less days, you should be doing full body every other day. Going more than 3 days, you could be doing upper lower or upper lower rest, or a combination of rests, or you can do a push-pull leg split. You need to lower the fatigue on your muscles. Stay dialed.